The front lever is one of the most iconic skills in calisthenics and gymnastics, but for most people, it feels almost impossible at first. You're holding your entire body in a perfectly horizontal position, arms locked, back facing the ground, like you're just floating in mid-air. It's one of those skills that almost everyone dreams about when they start training, and I was no different. The goal was simple: hold the front lever anywhere, anytime, even just for 3 seconds. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything I've learned while training for the front lever. What actually worked, what didn't, and what made the biggest difference for me. I'll also show you how to structure your training and manage your weekly split around this skill. If you want the front lever, you need the right foundation first. To make it easier to understand, let's break the front lever down into 2 parts: pulling strength and body tension. Pulling strength is what allows you to hold your body horizontally against gravity. Body tension is what keeps your body locked in a straight line, so your hips doesn't drop below your shoulders. And to build those 2 areas, you need a solid starting level of strength. Starting with pulling, I recommend aiming for 10 strict pull-ups. And I really mean strict, full range of motion from a dead hang all the way up until your chin is clearly above the bar. When it comes to body tension, aim for 10 hanging leg raises in a tuck position. Again, focus on clean form, no swinging, full control from start to finish. Having this kind of base won't just make your front lever training more effective, it also makes sure that strength won't be the thing holding you back in the very beginning. On top of that, these exercises teach proper scapular retraction and depression, which is the key to understanding how to engage your body as one unit once you start working on the actual front lever. Alright, so you've built a solid base, and now you're ready to start working on your first front lever specific exercises. The first thing we're aiming for is the tuck front lever and actually mastering it. This is your first real progression where you're holding your full body weight just with a shorter lever. At the beginning, it might feel unstable, your body won't be perfectly straight, your hips might drop, and keeping your arms locked can be a challenge. But that's completely normal. When it comes to learning difficult skills like this, adaptation doesn't happen overnight, and progress isn't always visible from day to day. To really check off the tuck front lever, you want to aim for a few key things: scapula retracted and depressed, your body as parallel to the ground as possible, and elbows fully locked. Don't try to fix everything at once. Focus on improving one thing at a time until it all comes together. Once you can hold a clean tuck front lever for around 8 to 12 seconds, you're ready to move on to the next progression. And one tip that's an absolute game changer: record yourself. It allows you to check your form, track your hold time, and most importantly, actually see your progress over time. Once you have enough strength and you can hold a clean tuck front lever, it's time to move on to further progressions. When it comes to your front lever specific training, there are 2 main exercises you should focus on. The first one is the front lever progression hold. This is where you work through different levels of the movement, gradually increasing the difficulty by lengthening the lever. The main progressions I recommend are tuck, advanced tuck, one leg, advanced one leg, super advanced tuck, straddle halfway, straddle, super advanced one leg, halfway one leg, and the full front lever. This exercise is great because the mechanics stay consistent at every stage, and it's very easy to track your progress over time. The second exercise is the assisted front lever hold. Here you use bands or other forms of assistance to help you hold more advanced positions. The biggest advantage of this method is that it allows you to train positions that are much closer to the full front lever, both in terms of angle and overall body tension. Just keep in mind that where you place the band matters. Ideally, it should be around your center of mass to get the best carryover. If you attach the band differently, it can reduce how much your core has to work. Since the front lever doesn't require a huge amount of coordination, you could argue that assisted work is actually one of the most specific ways to train it. But in my opinion, the best approach is to combine both methods, since they complement each other and cover each other's weaknesses. Besides your main work, there are a few extra exercises that can really help you push your front lever further. The first one is the front lever row. This exercise targets the same angles as the front lever and can be scaled using different progressions as well as range of motion. But the difficulty isn't evenly distributed and it doesn't really train locked elbows. Because of that, I'd mainly recommend it for more advanced athletes who are more advanced in their front lever and want to either learn front lever rows in the future or want to add some variety with the easier progression. The second exercise is the front lever pull to inverted hang. It trains similar angles, keeps your arms locked, and the resistance feels much more natural throughout the movement. It also makes it easier to keep your scapula in a good position, especially during the lowering phase. And the last one is the front lever lean, a great way to focus purely on tension and upper body engagement. You can easily scale it by leaning more forward and shifting more weight onto your arms. It removes a lot of complexity, so you can really focus on building strength in the exact position. When it comes to accessory work, the goal is to isolate specific muscles and remove most of coordination aspects. These are the exercises you want to add at the end of your session. The first one is the dragon flag. Its main purpose is to strengthen all the muscles responsible for keeping your body in a straight line. It's a very specific core exercise that transfers really well to the front lever. To progress, simply increase the lever length over time. The second exercise is the weighted pull-up or chin-up. The goal here is to build strength in your lats, especially in the middle range of the movement, which is crucial for the front lever. Exercise variation, it's all about strategically choosing and rotating different exercises to achieve a specific goal, whether that's strength, hypertrophy, or progressing in a skill while avoiding plateau. In this section, I'll show you an example of how you can apply this to front lever training. But before that, let's quickly break down 3 key terms. A microcycle is your shortest unit, usually 1 week of training. A mesocycle is a block of training that typically lasts around 4 to 8 weeks, and it's made up of multiple microcycles. And the macrocycle is the big picture, the long-term plan that combines all your mesocycles to reach a specific goal, like holding a full front lever for 5 seconds by the end of the year. With that in mind, let's look at how we can structure exercise selection across these levels. For your main movement throughout the entire macrocycle, you can stick with the front lever progression hold. The goal here is to build specific strength and control in the front lever position. You can adjust the load and other variables, but the main exercise stays the same. To support that, we introduce supplementary exercises, each one targeting a different weak point. For example, in block 1, you might focus on building strength and shoulder extension using the front lever pull to inverted hang. In block 2, you shift your focus more towards scapular control and maintaining a straight line using the front lever lean. And in block 3, you can focus more on overall back strength and volume with the front lever row. When it comes to accessory exercises, you can rotate them more frequently, even with a single microcycle. The goal here is hypertrophy and addressing specific weak points. You can also slightly shift the focus between blocks and sometimes even within a week by changing which muscle groups you prioritize through your exercise selection. Planning your training matters, not just for progressive overload, but also to stay efficient and actually track your progress. That's why in this section, I'm going to show you an example of how I would structure a front lever training cycle. Before setting up your training plan, it's worth understanding how fatiguing the front lever actually is. That depends on a few factors, like the muscles involved, their length during the movement, the type of contraction, and the overall complexity of the exercise. And I'm not talking about how hard the skill feels, because that's completely relative to your level. Instead, we can look at it on a scale, from low fatigue movements, which require less force and are easier to recover from, all the way to highly fatiguing ones, where muscles are working under a lot of tension, especially in lengthened positions. The front lever falls somewhere in the middle. It's moderately fatiguing. It's a skill that demands a high level of strength, but at the same time it's not as demanding on your joints and connective tissue as more extreme skills like the planche or iron cross. Because of that, you can usually train it more frequently without running into recovery issues too quickly. Let's say you're planning your weekly split and you want to include front lever training without removing your other workouts. For this example, let's assume you want to do 2 front lever sessions, 1 lower body workout, and on top of that 2 street lifting workouts, 1 weighted pull-up and 1 weighted dip session. So let's assume you can train every day of the week. Here is the first option. Why this setup? Weighted pull-ups are the most fatiguing element in this plan. In this structure, they are separated by 2 days from your first front lever session and about 1 to 2 days from the second one. The downside is that you might end up training on both weekends, which could slightly affect your recovery going into the next week. The second option would look like this. In this version, you get at least one free day during the weekend, and your heavy strength work is done earlier in the week. The downside here is that your first front lever session comes later, after 2 heavy workouts, which might mean you're going into it more fatigued. So overall, this is just an example of how you can structure your training to include the front lever while still doing other workouts, whether that's strength training or working on other skills without them interfering with each other.